everyone, I'm Alana, and welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2018. Today, I am joined by John and Jeff from the Days-Gone team. Now, you guys, I'm very excited about your game. There's one thing that I really have to ask, based on public perception. How similar is Days-Gone going to be to The Last of Us?
You know, we are huge fans of The Last of Us. We just saw their trailer. It's amazing. Days Gone is an open world game set in a dynamic world that comes for you. You play as Deacon St. John, who's a bounty hunter, a drifter. He's riding his drifter bike along the broken road. It's a huge, vast experience, and I think that it's not very similar.
We don't think so. I mean, yeah, and you won't find a bigger fan of Tilu than me. So
Tilu, I like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of influences in this game. You know, there's things that Red Dead, all kinds of other games, and Tilu is just an inspiration for us as far as like how to reach the bar. It shows us where the bar is and shows us how high to reach for sure.
And we have the Horde, so you can see the Horde demo. We've got that running right now, and you saw it. We released some footage last month. Man, it's made such huge strides in just a short amount of time. So this is the pre-alpha footage is what we released before. Now it's running at locked 30 frames a second. We got our final lighting in.
It is cool to see all the zombies almost look uniquely animated when you see them charging after you too. Like I can't see a lot of repetition in animations there.
Yeah, this is 250 NPCs coming at the player at once.
That's terrifying.
The best metaphor I can use is it's a tidal wave.
Yeah.
It's just crashing into the terrain, coming after the player, and it's just trying to go around obstacles and over and through it, and it just doesn't stop coming. And it's our coolest feature, no doubt. And
it's definitely one of the ways we show off the dynamic nature of the world, because how you fight the Horde is completely up to you.
Yeah.
You can craft explosives and explodables, or you can bring in huge magazines of ammunition. You can craft crossbow bolts that explode, and you can use the environment to your advantage. It just depends on how you want to play it.
Yeah, once you bring everything into this space, when you're playing through it, you're running forward and you're constantly scanning ahead. You're like, okay, well, there's something over there that looks like I could probably explode it. I could place a detonator on it. I can maybe I can slip through this crack in a shipping container, try to get some extra distance. You're just constantly scanning, and it's an adrenaline rush, even for us as we still play it today. It's thrilling.
I know you guys have been saying that you kind of want players to feel like they're never really safe. There's always a threat there. Is it going to be really difficult?
Challenging is what we're going for. The perfect amount of challenge.
Okay.
For sure.
How do you balance that perfect amount of challenge?
Well, I like to think that the players, they do have a lot of ways they can choose to approach any situation on a small level or on a big level. It depends on how much they want to invest in their character and how much they want to level them up and choose particular skills that suit their playstyle. How much they want to level up his attributes to be so he can run faster or further, so he can stay in focus mode for longer, so he has more health. And if you leverage those systems, the world's going to be safer, but it's still always going to be coming for you, and you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to scrape by all these encounters just a little bit easier. But it's not as thrilling when it's perfectly safe.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous all the time. So we have survivor encampments where it's actually safe. You can level up there. You can purchase ammo and bike parts depending on your trust level that you've earned. But as soon as you step outside that encampment, anything can happen. And that's what we were going for, is that sense of dread, that sense of fear. So we have a day-night cycle, so the danger changes, the type of danger, depending on what time of day it is. But even if you're not getting attacked, you might get attacked, and that constantly creates a sense of anxiety. And like if you saw the trailer we dropped last week, there's a quiet moment at the end where Deacon runs out of gas, and nothing's attacking him, but that's actually the most dangerous moment in the game, because you're on foot now, and you got to go out and find a can of fuel somewhere, and you got to bring it back, and who knows what'll happen.
It's that anticipation of knowing that it's out there somewhere. Yeah. So I did actually want to ask about the bike. I know it's very customizable. What happens if you lose it?
You have to go get stuff to repair it, and you have to go find it, or you have to pay somebody to bring it back to the encampment. The thing about the bike is you get one. And that's part of Deacon's background, and that's one of the reasons why we chose somebody who was an outlaw biker before the world ended. It's because of his love of the open road, his desire to not be under authority, his need for freedom, but it's mostly about the bike. And he has this bike, and he really, really has to take care of it.
Yeah,
we call it action survival.
It's action survival. So we really wanted to capture the essence of these survival games without the minutia. So hence the genre I'm inventing here called action survival, where it's got the elements of it that grounds you in reality, but it doesn't bog you down with the quality of life issues of just managing your own personal inventory, your calories,
so there's
or
no
food.
thirst or hunger or any of that stuff.
But we put all that on the bike in two major ways, which is just the fuel and the damage level of it. And it's amazing how something that seems kind of counterintuitive for a game design point of view, is really kind of thrilling because it does get the player off of the bike, which is the bike is Deacon's major advantage in this world. That's why he survived. That's how he excels in it. So any opportunity we can take to believably and consistently kind of remind him that that's not a perfect machine and break it down and take it away from him, it really tests and challenges the player and puts him in situations he didn't expect and anticipate. He loses control. And it's actually been one of the things that people have played it, they just get it and they compliment us on it just because it is very counterintuitive, but it fits the action survival IP so well.
And it's completely upgradable.
Yeah.
So you have like 20 different part systems, from the fuel tank to the engine to the chassis, and all of that is basically up to you. It's like how do you want to ride the bike? It's got a drifting mechanic that allows you to turn really tight corners. Riding on muddy roads at night in the rain can be really scary anyway, and if you run out of gas, if you don't like that, then go and earn trust at the encampment. Buy a bigger gas tank, buy a more efficient
buy a bigger engine if you want to go faster, buy a nitrous if you want to boost, buy more fuel efficient parts.
And if you like color, you can modify the bike to be pretty much whatever you want. You can choose colors that Deacon St. John would hate.
Just make it bright pink for him. Totally going to do that. So I did want to ask about, this is one of the only open world biking games that I can think of. Did you guys have to design the open world with making traversal fun in mind?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact,
on,
we call
on foot and
on bike.
Yeah.
We call it the broken road for a reason. So part of the fiction of the game is that to stop the hordes, they were blowing up the bridges, and then after a couple of years, if you've ever been to Central Oregon, these roads deteriorate quickly because of the extreme weather we have. It snows in the winter, and then it gets really hot in the summer, and that constant heat cold just breaks everything up. The roads are a mess. So you end up doing a lot of off-roading, and it's, number one, it's really fun to just ride it. But we also had the environment team worked really hard, working with the design team, to make these jumps that are sort of built into the world. So we don't have artificial anything. It all feels natural, part of the world. And man, when you're riding really fast on a mountain road and then you hit a rock and you're like sailing through the air and you're catching air, that's just a lot of fun. So the
really
entire world was designed around that mechanic.
So we've spoken a little bit about bike customization. What can we expect from Deacon's customization?
So Deacon's customization, he's got a skill tree that kind of fits in 3 different branches that are tailored to the IP. I don't think we're really talking about that, but they're things that take Deacon from a biker who's capable of surviving. He can fight, he can shoot a little bit, but the skills really help him become a better survivalist and a harder survivor, and really kind of help him face the challenges of this world in particular. Yeah, and he can also improve his attributes. So there's probably something we shouldn't talk about yet, but he can improve. The players have complete freedom to choose their focus, their stamina, or health. Which of those are most important to them, and in what order they want to get them. And they have to puzzle out certain scenarios. And we showed it at one of the narrow checkpoints, actually, in previous video. And so, the player has all kinds of freedom to customize himself. And players, the players need to engage in some of it. From a design point of view, we're not requiring many specifics, if any at all. It's just a matter of use some of these if you want to survive. This game is going to be really, really hard, but everything that's there matters. It's integrated in some way. And if you go deeper the Deacon skills, the game's going to be slightly easier, but always still a challenge.
And who Deacon is a lot of, it's tied up in how he looks. Again, so that's part of his background, his history with the MC. So we're not allowing you to do any customization of how he looks.
That makes
because
sense.
That's all built into the story.
Yeah,
and there are key places where he changes how he looks, and it's very, very important.
So there are actually choices in the game. You can make some major decisions. You can abandon people. You can kill them. How much do those choices affect both the story and Deacon?
They actually play a pretty important role because we really wanted there to be a certain amount of player agency in the key storyline. So it's all about you and your best friend, your only friend, Boozer. So he's more than a friend. He's a brother, right? You were both members of the MC. You both survived the apocalypse together, and now it's just the two of you against the world. And so, Boozer has a certain way of thinking, a certain code of ethics. Deacon has his own, and when those two clash, we let the player choose. So depending on what you do will have an impact on the game. There are a couple of alternate endings depending on what choices you've made during the game. And we just wanted to give the player a certain amount of agency in the story. Yeah,
I think choice runs through it. I mean, from the high level like that to very, very specific choices to the way he wants to customize himself. But this scenario right here, you've got a death wish. From a design point of view, we used to hyperscript missions that were very specific and very cinematic and kind of had all these pre-scripted beats. But now in the open world context, we just say, hey, Deacon's goal is right here. And everything that stands between him and it provides the experience, and the player can choose. I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to do that, or I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to do it this way. And there's just hundreds or thousands of different kind of small choices and playthroughs that come out of it. So it's kind of easier to make in some ways, and far richer and varied in the outcomes.
I know that for individual missions, we've seen gameplay where you can choose how you're approaching things very differently. Is the story structure linear? Can you go out in the open world and just pause the main story and do whatever you want and talk to different people and do things in different orders?
So we have a golden path, and that has a certain amount of gameplay time, and you're free to just stick to that and just beat the game. There's also plenty of ways to distract yourself in the open world. There's all sorts of missions and jobs and ambient events, and there's ambush camps that you can go and take out, and all of that stuff is designed to earn trust at the encampments. And that trust is what you use to purchase upgrades to your bike and better weapons and so on. So yeah, it's completely up to the player how you want to play the game.
I've even likened it kind of, from what I can tell, it's more like Far Cry than The Last of Us, and it's just a lot of open world chaotic fun, but there's crazy zombies everywhere as well.
Yeah, we like to think of it more like Days Gone.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've heard of that video game. So let's talk about Deacon as an actual character. What is he about? Broad picture, how do you describe him?
Oh, how do you describe Deacon himself?
Yeah.
I describe him as a broken man. So if you've seen the first trailer we did, you see that he's lost someone. Everybody's lost someone, and that's the thing. And that's kind of one of the things we wanted to explore, is it's a human story about a man, a specific man. So this is a kind of protagonist that I haven't seen in video games. He's got kind of an iffy past, but he's a human like everybody else. And how is he going to deal with losing everything? And so we follow his story as he interacts with other people throughout the world. He goes on an epic journey in Days Gone. And it's not just a physical journey, although it is that, where you go to new places, you unlock new areas, you unlock new characters to interact with, but it's also kind of a spiritual journey. It's funny to say in an open world shooter, but it is a spiritual journey for Deacon St. John as he learns to find a reason to live. Yeah.
Well, it's really important. That background is also kind of what makes him uniquely qualified to be this survivor. I mean, he survived the apocalypse because he had his bike. He could escape the hordes crashing down on all the cars in the traffic jams. He could split lanes and get out. He could use a gun. And so that outsider status, he didn't need to go to the authorities for help. He knew how to take care of himself. Made him uniquely qualified to survive and then excel in this world, but it does test him. I mean, he's an outsider for a reason. Yeah. People aren't necessarily his forte, and he has to, when he loses Boozer,
in this scene right here,
right here.
Yeah, so
I mean, it really pushes Deacon. So, I mean, Deacon grows throughout this story. He doesn't stay the same,
And this is just one storyline. That's the key, right? So the story of brotherhood of him and his friend Boozer, and how he keeps Boozer alive, and how he keeps Boozer wanting to find a reason to live. That's only one part of a much, much bigger story.
So we know a little bit about him as a character. What do you think makes him likable?
Oh, I think that he's likable because he never gives up.
Yeah.
Right, so finding a reason to hope. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough world to live in. The world is always coming for you, and yet he doesn't give up, and he does find a way to sort of regain his humanity. I mean, I like to think of it as a story of redemption. So, by the time you get further into the story and you see where he starts and you kind of see where his journey to where he ends, I think it's uplifting. And I think that's the kind of story I like. And that's what I'm looking for in any kind of an experience, whether it's film, novel, game. I really want to have somebody tell me, hey, this is a positive thing. This is not like a bummer.
And it's Sam Witwer as well, right?
Yeah.
Sam Witwer, yeah.
He's a very likable guy himself. So I did want to ask you guys, you were the first ones, I think, to announce the February 22nd, 2019
Yes, thank you for remembering
release
that.
date. How weird has that been, seeing all these other games get that same date?
Hey, most of our games, I mean, in the 20 plus years we've been releasing games, we kind of consider this our quarter. This is, we're typically February and March, except for maybe one title. So yeah, we were there first.
We were there first. I want to remind everybody of that.
I imagine it's pretty strange, but last question, what are you guys most excited about? What's your favorite thing about the game?
Oh, I think that all the systems coming together for the player, and all these design elements. We've been working on this for quite a long time, and it's a journey getting there. And when you're creating these systems seemingly in a vacuum, and nobody can see the bigger picture yet, and then kind of as they start to come together over the years, and then when it works and we're watching people play and use everything and just kind of grok it, that's really super satisfying, because I think there's a million stories to be told in this, and we look forward to the online videos of people's different playthroughs and different playstyles. So I'm thrilled all that came together, because it was
taking my time, dude.
It was a bit of a gamble.
I'm excited for the way we've managed to integrate storytelling with an open, dynamic world, because I think we've done a really good job of keeping the tone consistent, keeping the experience flow consistent. You never feel like, oh, okay, I just dropped out of the golden path and now I'm doing something really weird and obnoxious. It's all one thing, and that's something that I have not seen in this type of a game before. So
I imagine
I'm
it's hard to
excited
do
by
in an
that.
open world game too. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Of course, the game is out February 22nd.
Thanks for having us.
Really hoping I can play it on the show floor and hopefully give you all my impressions. So stay tuned to IGN Live at E3 2018 for more video games.